The first gunshot doesn't come from the street. It comes from inside the club. 1 second the bass is shaking the floor, lights flashing over sweat and glitter, and the next there's a crack that slices straight through the music. A bottle explodes on the bar. A dancer screams. Security reaches for their guns, but they freeze mid-move, like someone pressed pause on the whole room. At the front entrance, a knot of men in black suits has already stepped inside, moving as one. They don't shout. They don't rush. They just walk, smooth and straight down the center, and everybody in their path simply moves out of the way. It's not just fear. It's recognition. Atlanta has seen these men before. In the middle of them, a taller figure carries all the weight without saying a word. Dark coat, fresh out the cold night. No snow, no rain, but he brings winter in with him anyway. His name, whispered in low corners, makes grown men adjust their lives. Tonight, right now, that same name crawls through the crowd in broken pieces. Behind the bar, a young black woman named Zaria feels her hand shake around a wet rag. Her stomach presses hard against the edge of the counter, 6 months of life shifting inside her, as if the baby knows who just walked in. She doesn't turn around. She doesn't have to. Her body has known that presence long before the door opened. Before we start, make sure to hit like and subscribe, and really I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The music cuts off without warning. No fade, no DJ tag. Just dead silence and the soft hum of fear. Glass stills. Hands hover in midair. Then his voice comes, sharp and low, cutting through every other sound in the room. You're 6 months pregnant with my child, and you're working in a nightclub. Every eye turns to her. Zaria finally looks up. So tell the truth, if that was you, would you pretend he had the wrong woman, or admit the baby is his in front of everybody watching? Zaria doesn't answer. Not yet. Her throat locks, and for a heartbeat the only sound she hears is the bass still echoing in the walls, a ghost of the song that just died. The man at the door, Kwan Jisoo, takes one slow step forward. His men spread out, not shouting, not flashing guns, just claiming corners like they've done this 100 times. The club owner, a thick man named Deshaun, tries to rush in with a nervous grin. My man, we can talk about this in the... One of Kwan's men lifts a hand. Just a small motion. Deshaun's words dry up. He backs away without being touched. That tells the room more than any speech could. This place never really belonged to Deshaun. Zaria. Kwan says her name like it's a sentence. Turn around. She does. The bar lights hit the curve of her belly, the tired lines under her eyes, the sheen of sweat on her brown skin. She's not wearing diamonds now, no silk, no designer dress. Just a black tank, cheap jeans, an apron with someone else's name on it. A girl in the crowd pulls out her phone. Another follows. Screens rise like small moons around the room, hungry for drama, for proof. This is how legends spread now, through shaky hands and shaky footage. You left, Kwan says, stepping closer, voice steady but hot enough to burn. No goodbye. No call. No trace. And I find you here. Zaria feels anger push past the fear. I left to stay alive. A murmur ripples around them. Stay alive? From who? From him? From his enemies? He studies her face like he's trying to find the woman he remembers inside the one standing here now. If the person who hurt you most promised they came back to save you, would you believe them, or assume this is just the start of something worse? No one moves toward the door. That's the first real sign of how bad it is. In most club fights, people rush the exit, knock over tables, push strangers. Tonight, everybody stays because everyone understands the truth. If you run while these men are inside, you draw attention. And attention gets people hurt. Kwan's gaze drops, slow and heavy, to Zaria's stomach. His jaw tightens, and for a second the sharp, icy mask he wears for the world cracks. There's something raw underneath. Fear, anger, something close to heartbreak pressed into a man who doesn't allow that word. You were going to raise him without me, he asks. The him lands like he's already decided the baby's future, name, and place in his world. You think I would ever harm my own child? You already put us in danger, Zaria fires back, her hand unconsciously covering her belly. Your choices did that. Your enemies did that. This is the only way I saw to keep us breathing. His phone vibrates. He checks the screen, eyes narrowing. His whole body shifts from personal rage to something sharp and focused. He turns away from her and speaks into the mic. Find them, he says. The ones who followed her here. Nobody leaves that back alley until you bring me names. Zaria's blood runs cold. He didn't just stumble on this club. He knew. He's been watching. Maybe he's been watching longer than she realized. You tracked me, she asks. Kwan looks back, meeting her eyes with a stare that doesn't blink. I never stopped. There's no music to cover the shock in the room this time. Every person near the bar hears that confession. Every phone catches the words. If the person you ran away from admitted they'd been watching you for months, would you feel safer because they're here now, or trapped because they never really let you go? Zaria's fingers curl around the edge of the bar so tight her knuckles ache. She's shaking, but she won't let herself fold, not while he's looking. His men quietly pull the doors shut, sliding heavy locks in place. The click rolls through the room louder than any gunshot. Kwan walks closer, stopping just short of touching her. The air between them feels hot and sharp. Up close, the night shows on his face. Faint bruises fading yellow at his jaw, a thin line near his collar where a blade missed its mark. This is not a man who has been sitting in a safe office. You think I ruined you, he says. Say it. She lifts her chin. You did. I slept on bathroom floors. I was turned away from jobs, from houses. I begged for food while you flew in private jets. You call that protection? His eyes flash. You're alive because I made you into a ghost. I signed your death paper in front of men who wanted your head. They believed you died that night. I buried you on record so nobody could use you against me. The crowd drinks in every word, shifting closer but staying quiet. This isn't a random lover's fight. It's strategy, survival, crime, and love tangled up in a conversation that should have been private. You erased me so you could keep your empire clean, Zaria says. Don't pretend this was about my heart. It was about your name. Kwan smiles, but there's no joy in it. My name means nothing if my child doesn't make it into this world. He reaches into his coat. Some people flinch, expecting a gun. Instead, he pulls out a folded document and places it on the counter. If someone like him laid out a way back into his world, with rules you know might save or destroy you, would you sign your life to that paper, or tear it up and risk facing his enemies alone? Zaria doesn't touch the paper. Not yet. She stares at it like it might burn her fingers. The words on top are clear enough in the dim bar light: temporary protection agreement, emergency relocation, medical coverage. It reads like safety. It smells like a trap. Behind them, Deshaun wipes sweat from his forehead with a shaking hand. He knows whatever happens at this bar tonight will stain his name forever. Kwan doesn't look his way. With a small nod, he sends 2 men to stand by the emergency exit, another pair to cover the halls leading to the back rooms. Pieces move across the board with quiet control. You will come with me tonight, Kwan says to Zaria. You will not step outside alone until our child is born. You will have doctors, guards, a place that does not leak when it rains. That paper just lets the world call it legal. Zaria almost laughs. Legal? You think anyone believes you follow the law? I follow my law, he replies. And in my law, the mother of my child does not wash glasses in a place where men plan hits in the same room they buy champagne. She glances around the club. Men in corners refuse to meet her eyes. A few women whisper, torn between jealousy and fear. Some think she's lucky. Others see a cage where they're standing. A sharp thud echoes from the back hallway. One of Kwan's men steps in close to his ear, whispers fast. Kwan's expression hardens. They're here already, the man says loud enough for Zaria to hear. The ones who paid for the message on your mirror. They didn't just send threats this time. They brought hardware. Zaria's heart jumps into her throat. She hasn't told Kwan everything about that night, about what she did right before she ran. If danger walked through the back door right now, carrying the answer to a secret you've hidden even from the father of your child. Would you finally confess, or let him go to war without knowing what you did? The first contraction hits so hard Zaria nearly drops the glass in her hand. It feels like the floor shifts under her, like the whole safe house tilts for one raw second. She grips the edge of the kitchen counter, knuckles white, eyes locked on the front window where two black SUVs sit, engines off, guards inside. She is not in a nightclub anymore. She is in a rented stone house on the edge of the city, wrapped in security cameras and motion lights. Kwan made sure nobody got near without his team knowing. But safety has a cost. She hasn't stepped outside alone in weeks. The only fresh air she gets is on the back deck with a guard standing in the corner pretending not to listen. Another wave tightens her stomach. It's not time yet, the doctor said, but her body doesn't seem to care about schedules. She checks the clock on the wall. 21 minutes since the last one. Now this one. Too close. Her heart beats faster. In the living room, Kwan paces with his phone to his ear, speaking in low, clipped sentences. He's been working the same lead for days, chasing what he calls the last threat. The countdown is simple and cruel, either he finds the person who ordered the hit on her before the baby arrives, or he knows they'll use the chaos of labor as cover. The birth itself has become a dead serious deadline. 2 nights, he says into the phone. You have 2 nights to bring me something real. After that, I move first. Zaria leans in the doorway, one hand on her back. You really think they're going to wait for your schedule? He ends the call, turns to her, and for a second the hard lines in his face soften. I think they're counting the days the same way I am. If you knew someone was timing their attack to the day your child enters the world. Would you run from the man offering protection, or stay in his house and let him fight your war? The photo lands on the table between them like a threat. It's a grainy shot from an alley camera, 2 figures in hoodies, a third person with a long coat, a truck in the background. The guard who brought it in steps back, hands behind his back, eyes on the floor. Kwan doesn't sit. He stands over the table, staring at the image as if he can force it to sharpen. Zaria sits opposite him, her hands resting over her belly, every sense on edge. The room smells like strong coffee and fresh paint, they only finished sealing the windows last week. That's from the night at the club, Kwan says. Back in trance. 10 minutes before I walked in. Zaria leans forward. Is that Deshaun? No. Deshaun was already inside, shaking and trying to act like he had control. Kwan taps the third figure. This one. We traced the coat. Only 3 of those were sold in this city this month. 1 to a politician's security detail. 1 to a middleman already dead. 1 to a man I've known since I was 14. His voice drops even lower on the last words. Zaria feels the temperature shift. This is not some unknown enemy. This is personal. You're saying someone on your own team was there? Before you? He wasn't just there, Kwan says. He was on the payroll of the same people who wrote on your mirror. He's the link between my network and theirs. Secret number 1, the person who opened the door to that hit, grew up sleeping on the same floor I did. Zaria's chest tightens. Betrayal from strangers is one thing. From someone who shared your past is a whole different wound. What would hurt you more, finding out your enemy was always outside your house, or realizing your enemy has been eating at your table since you were a kid? The power cuts out in the middle of the night. No warning. 1 second the hallway is lit with a soft warm glow, the next it drops into thick darkness. The air conditioner stops, the hum of the fridge dies. Silence floods the safe house. Zaria wakes up instantly. She pushes herself up on the bed, breathing hard, one hand on her belly. The baby kicks, restless, like he can feel the shift too. From the next room, boots move fast across the floor. Doors open, voices whisper into earpieces. This is not a normal outage. Kwan is already at the window, curtain pulled back just enough for him to see out. The yard lights are gone. Street lamps 3 houses down are still on. That means someone cut only their line. He reaches for the drawer, pulls out a pistol, checks it by habit. Stay in the room, he tells Zaria. Do not open the door for anyone but me. She swings her legs over the side of the bed. I'm not sitting in the dark while they come for us. Zaria, he warns. There's no time for a full argument. A sharp buzz from his phone shows a new message, motion at the back gate. Camera blacked out. The guards spread through the house, moving to their assigned spots. No shouting. They know sound carries. The air fills with tiny clicks as safeties come off. Somewhere outside, a car door closes too quietly. Zaria steps into the hallway anyway, one hand on the wall, feeling her way. The tension is thick enough to taste, like metal on her tongue. She hears Kwan barking short orders, sending 2 men to the upstairs windows, another to the basement. If the quiet before a storm hit your house while you were heavily pregnant, would you hide in the safest room and trust someone else to handle it, or step into the hall and risk everything to see what's coming? The first scream ends faster than it starts. A shadow moves past the upstairs window, then a flash of light, then nothing. The fight stays mostly outside, pushed away from the house by Kwan's men, kept in the yard, in the trees, out by the gate. Shots crack the night, sharp and fast, and then fade into broken echoes. Inside, Zaria sits on the floor against the bedroom wall, hands pressed hard over her stomach, breathing in counts. In, 2, 3. Out, 2, 3. She never made it back to the bed. A guard dragged her into the room when the first bullet hit the stone siding. Now he stands by the door, listening, weapon ready, waiting for the signal that it's over. Minutes stretch. Then, finally, the house goes still again. No more running feet. No more shouts. Just the faint night sounds trying to come back, like the world outside is asking if it's safe to return to normal. The door opens. Kwan stands there with blood on his sleeve and dust on his face. His eyes move first to her belly, checking, then to her face. He doesn't ask if she's okay with words. He reads the way she's sitting, the color in her cheeks. It's done, he says quietly. They sent a small crew. Testing us. They won't use those men again. Zaria knows what that means. She closes her eyes for one long second, feeling both relief and a new wave of fear. Every time he handles a threat, he digs deeper into the world she wanted to escape. Tell me something, she says, opening her eyes. If they had gotten inside, what would you have done different? He steps closer, lowers himself to sit on the floor across from her, back against the dresser. For a brief moment, there is no empire, no hit list, no network. Just 2 people catching their breath on the other side of a night that could have ended everything. If you watch the person you fear and love come back through that door alive, would you finally tell them the one thing you've been hiding, or stay quiet and let that secret live in the dark a little longer? Zaria speaks before she can talk herself out of it. The night I ran. I didn't just leave. Kwan looks over at her, eyes narrowed. The safe house feels strangely calm now. The power is back, the lights are on, the guards are patching small holes in the walls. Yet the real shot about to go off is in this room, between these two. I went into your office, she continues. I opened your safe. His jaw tightens, but he doesn't interrupt. I took the backup drive, she says. The one with the numbers, the names, the shipment routes, the politician messages. I mailed a copy to a lawyer I found in another state. Someone who helps women who are in trouble. I told her to only open it if I turned up dead on the news. The words hang between them like another countdown. The baby kicks, sharp and strong, as if reacting to every syllable. You handed my enemies a weapon, Kwan says slowly. You put proof of my world in someone else's hands. I gave myself insurance, Zaria replies. I needed something that made my life worth more than a warning on a mirror. He leans his head back against the dresser, eyes on the ceiling. For a long moment he says nothing. Then he laughs once, low and rough. So that's the last secret. It wasn't just me clearing the network. They held back because they wanted what you took. Zaria swallows. You said you'd wash the blood off your hands for this child. Maybe this is how you start. That drive could tear your name apart or free you from half the chains you pretend you can't break. He turns his head, meets her eyes. If I go after that drive, I either burn everything to keep you safe or walk into a world where I don't rule anything anymore. If you were in Zaria's place right now, would you hand over the only proof that keeps you safe, trust this man to change for real, and build a new life out of the wreckage? Or keep that last piece of power in your own hands, no matter how much you care about him? If you want to find out what choice Zaria makes next, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the follow-up story on this channel, and don't forget to drop your thoughts in the comments, because your words might be the push someone else needs to face their own hard decision.